everyone, Kurt Klein here with Hallmark University, going over Don Yakabuchi's Marketing Management, 5th edition for Business 5332 Marketing Management. And today we'll be discussing Chapter 9, Pricing. So pricing, the second of our 4 Ps. We'll be focusing on our managerial checklist here. How do demand and elasticity enter pricing decisions? For low pricing, check break even. For high pricing, measure customers' price sensitivities. What will the market bear? Should we keep prices constant or allow changes? How to use prices to attract different segments. So, discussion question number 1. What would you pay for a Pepsi? Why? And for all the Coke drinkers out there, I realize the answer is nothing. But theoretically, what would you pay for a Pepsi? And if you've never had one, the next question is, why not? And then if you've never had one and you're a Coca-Cola fan, what would you pay? Would it have to be free for you to try it? And what would you pay for a Pepsi at a movie theater? Why? Personally, I think it is overpriced at a movie theater. So what would I pay at a movie theater? It would be awesome if it was the same I'd pay anywhere else. About $1 or $2. That's about what it's worth. They haven't done anything to improve it. They haven't done anything to really change it. They can't decide on a logo that's been plaguing them ever since Classic Coke came back with a vengeance from the new Coke debacle. So what would you pay for a Pepsi? Me personally, I'm not a fan. Phosphoric acid destroys the enamel on your teeth, so I'm going to say nothing. I like a nice hibiscus tea. So there we go. Why is pricing important? Let's go on. Price obtains value back from customers, right? Marketers set optimal pricing. Pricing matches brand positioning, affects demand, can be used as a segmentation tool. So demand curve / line. Demand tends to decrease as price increases. Makes sense, right? If Pepsi was 50 cents a can and Coke was $1, would you buy it? You might be a convert. You get twice as much for the same dollar figure. So let's take a look at it. Simple pricing strategies. So the C's of marketing directly affect pricing, customer, competitor, company. So the customer, high end, price equals what the customer is willing to pay, minus the markdown. The middle of the road would be price equals the competitor plus or minus the fudge factor. Company, cost base, price equals cost plus markup. So when we think about it, pricing and profitability, and remember this, back to our algebraic equations here, these are all algebraic equations. So profit, price times demand minus fixed costs minus variable costs times demand. Sounds like it because there's all kinds of parentheses in there. So definitely an algebraic equation. Profit also equals price minus variable costs times demand minus fixed costs. Are you still with me? Profit increases as price increases. Makes sense, right? If it costs you $5 to manufacture whatever your product is, you normally sell it for 10. Suddenly you have a spike because the demand is up and you can sell for 15. Well, the price to make it's still $5. So in the 10, obviously you're making $5 profit. In the 15, you're making $10 profit. So it's total common sense there. However, demand decreases when price increases. So if you're thrilled about, if we go back to our Toyota Camry examples, if you love driving the Toyota Camry and all of a sudden they're $60,000, I'm not going to really be loving the Toyota Camry. That $30,000 price is about the ceiling where I see that vehicle. So we need to find a happy medium, right? Pricing and elasticity. So elasticity is how much does demand, the units sold, increase or decrease with a price change. So if the decrease price, if we see that, does the volume increase cover the lost revenue, right? So if your widget cost you $10 and you're currently selling 100,000 and your price point is $5 as far as your cost, that means you're making $500,000 profit. And if you drop your price to $8, now you're at $3 profit. but all of a sudden you sell 200,000. Did the volume increase cover the lost revenue, right? So $200,000 at $3 profit per unit, 100,000 units sold at a $5 profit per unit. So, yeah, you increased by 100,000 in that example. So, but is it worth it, right? Is that 100,000 enough to double the production? Maybe, maybe not. So inelastic, demand barely changes. Elastic, demand changes, right? That's your elasticity. So elastic versus inelastic demand. Inelastic demand implies that customers will purchase even if the price increases. Gas, right? In 2008, I remember gas hitting somewhere around the $4.50 a gallon on the East Coast. My wife at the time was like, oh my God, we've got to look into mopeds. They get like 70 miles to the gallon. And when we looked at mopeds, we found out that sure enough, they get 70 miles to the gallon. But to get one that will get us on the highway and get us to work at the same time costs about $7,000. My next thought was, we could buy a motorcycle for that. And it's way cooler to ride a motorcycle than it is a moped, in my mind anyway. So the inelastic demand implies that customers will purchase even if the price increases. Gas is one of those things, right? Electricity is one of those things. Electricity in Texas summers. Yep, you'll purchase it. So calculating elasticity. So elasticity, the proportion change in quantity compared to the proportion change in price. So if E is greater than 1, demand is elastic. If 0 is greater than E, which is greater than 1, demand is inelastic. Algebra. Told you. If E equals 1, demand is unitary. So elastic example and an inelastic example. So you're going to have to look those up on the PowerPoint. Elasticity in customer segments. Elasticity varies with customer segments. Makes sense, right? Brand loyal, inelastic. Deal prone, elastic, right? Personally, when it comes to trash bags, if all of a sudden my trash bags are super expensive, I do not have a brand loyalty to trash bags. That's all there is to it. I'm elastic. I'm deal prone on that one. Paper towels, kind of deal prone on that one too. Just doesn't equate, right? Baby wipes. Now, if you've got children, baby wipes might be a thing. I always found the generics to not be as strong as the Huggies. We went with Huggies across the board. We were inelastic, brand loyal on that one. If you've ever had kids and you've tried it, I don't know. My kids are in their 20s now, so, maybe it's changed. But back then, no. We were Huggies or nothing. So, factors that drive demand. Demand increases if customers' desire for the brand increases. Makes sense, right? Perceptions of products, benefits, and brand images increase. Competitive products are poor or priced higher. High price, poor quality, nightmare. You're about to go into bankruptcy, right? So you've got to have good price, good quality, or it doesn't work. There are few good substitutes. So demand will increase if there are few good substitutes. Competitive products are garbage, and perception of the product increases, right? Or your customer's desire increases. So price sensitivity. Price sensitivity is greater when customers don't care much about the purchase. My trash bags. Don't have strong preferences. Don't have strong brand loyalty. Have limited income. There's another one, right? The item is a luxury rather than a necessity. There are many substitutes. The purchase is large relative to the income. It's easy to compare prices. So price sensitivity is something you got to be focused on as a marketer. Where is your market? What's the trend? We talked about that in Chapter 8. Discussion question number 2. Do you think most customers are price sensitive when buying a car? Why? I think they are, to be honest. You do the price point thing, and I think your salespeople are wise to it because nowadays I think you can get an 84-month loan, which when you do the math on that, you might be able to get the payment you want. But that's a 7-year loan. The traditional loans back in the day were, 3, 4, 5 years. A 60-month loan was a massive thing. I remember that marketing as a child. They'd be, 60 months, 2% interest. Wow. Yeah, but when you do the math on that, does the interest rate and the length of time make a difference, right? Student loans are a great idea. Or a great example. When you think about the student loan, if it takes you the 10 years that you're allotted to pay off the student loan, let's go with a $12,000 loan at 6-ish% interest. If you take the 10 years to pay that off, you're paying off $18,000 for a $12,000 loan. Was it worth it? Could you have paid it off more? You have $6,000 worth of play within that interest rate, right? So when you think about the cars are very similar. Lower percentage rate. 3 point something is what RBFCU is currently touting on 60 to 84-month loans. It's kind of frightening, right? 5-year to 7-year loans. So do you think most customers are price sensitive when buying a car? I think so. Because when you start doing the math, you go, wait a minute, the price tag on this car was $12,500. If I take the 7 months or the 84 months, the 7 years to pay it off, I've bought it twice. Does that make sense? That's a steep rate right there, isn't it? Do the math. Low prices. 2 considerations. You need to cover your costs. You need to cover, be able to compute a variety of break-evens, right? Number of units needed to make money. So if your costs are $10,000, your first $10,000 of sales, that's covering the $10,000 it took to produce it, right? You need to determine if you want to have a constant low price strategy, Walmart, or a fluctuating one, Kohl's. Who's expanding more? Walmart. So it depends on what you're doing there, right? Covering costs. Firms need to cover costs. Costs set the minimum floor on pricing. Basic equations. Not necessarily the algebraic ones we were talking about earlier, but basic equations right there. Cost plus pricing. Unit cost minus the specific percentage, where that specific percentage is the intended return. So if fixed costs are high relative to variable costs, maximize volume. You got to push the volume, otherwise it won't work. If variable costs are high, maximize per unit margins, right? So depends on what you're selling. Could be mass market type stuff or high-end type stuff. Break-even analysis. So the break-even, BE, number of units to sell to cover costs, can be computed in terms of number of units sold or monetary value. So BE equals fixed costs divided by price minus the variable costs. Back to algebra. Break even for a good. We've got costs for the portfolio business, and then we've got break even for the portfolio business, right? Break even for a service. Costs for tablet customization service business, break even for tablet customization service business, right? So break even if service fee equals $100. And these are some charts we're going to have to look at the PowerPoints, right? So high prices and price sensitivity. How much would sales drop off in the face of a price increase? Here at Cool 10 Wellness, the wellness shop that we own in New Braunfels, Texas, we played with this number. And we found that the numbers that we bought the business at, we've been able to tweak about $5 to $10 in pricing per month without seeing any decrease in volume. Once we go past that, we see a decrease in volume. So we know volume is what we got to chase after. So good brands have low price sensitivity. Consider price sensitivity is percent change in sales equals price sensitivity times price 2 minus price 1 divided by price 1, right? So use existing PS estimate or develop PS estimates using scanner data, survey data, and or conjoint analysis. So scanner data methods run experiments by manipulating prices in randomly selected stores and comparing sales to control groups. Calculate PS assuming 20% discount. Use regression analysis on previous sales. So again, lots of algebraic equation here. Conduct a survey to assess willingness to pay. $25, definitely would not buy. Or definitely would buy on a scale of 1 to 7. $35, definitely would not buy, or definitely would buy, scale 1 to 7. Which one are you? Willingness to pay. Conduct price studies. Surveys are identical except pricing. A may have a higher price than B, B than C, etc. Each customer fills out an assigned survey. So show product combinations with price, ask which do most prefer, and then next. 2 segments are represented below. Left segment wants the brand and will pay more. The right segment gives up the brand for a lower price. So remember, elastic, inelastic. So we've got Red Bull and store brand. Well, we know the name of Red Bull. They've done a great job of advertising. They're the extreme guys, right? They do extreme sports. They sponsor the extreme athlete and the extreme lifestyle. What's the store brand do, right? So when we think about it, depending on the price, Red Bull's $2.99, store brand's $3.99. Red Bull's going to win out for sure. Red Bull's $3.99, store brand's $2.99. It's going to be a toss-up, right? For those who are willing to just go with the lower price, store brand wins every time. For the folks that want the brand and will pay more for the perceived quality, Red Bull's in. So, pricing question. Given the figures, explain the difference between Sprint and T-Mobile. So, market share, units sold. Sprint has 27% of the market. T-Mobile, 28%. So they look like they're bigger. Revenue share, profits. Sprint sees 30% profit. T-Mobile, 15%. So T-Mobile has 1% more of the market and 15% is profit. Sprint has 27% of the market and they see a 30% profit. Why? Right? Could be that Sprint has lower fixed costs, lower variable costs. T-Mobile, they're trying to extend a higher end, right? Depends on their internal model. So units or revenue, volume or profits. So profit equals revenue minus expense. Simple, right? Revenue equals price times quantity sold. Again, simple. Whew. Easy algebraic numbers here. To maximize profits, find a price where any further increase in price would lead to a large fall off in quantity sold. Profit maximization. Marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So profit maximization is finding that price where you add 1 more cent. And think about that for a second. $12.99. Is there much difference between $12.99 and $13? Apparently there is, otherwise we wouldn't have prices that are $12.99. Or that brand new truck that you're looking at, $35,995. Is that not $36,000? But you see $36,000 and you see $35,995. Well, I got it for $35,000. Yeah, did you? So think about it, right? Profit maximization, marginal revenue equals marginal cost at $1. So let's see. We'll move on to the next one. Systematic biases in pricing. No pricing model is perfect, plain and simple. There's a lot of trial and error in there. Lots of market surveys have to be done. Lots of market data has to be drilled down on. There are systematic biases in pricing. Price serves as a quality cue. Higher price may be more appealing. However, studies show no correlation between price and quality for most product categories. So at the end of the day, if you need a watch and all you're concerned about is that it tells time, there's a $10 watch out there somewhere that probably fits just fine, fits the bill. There's a watch that probably launches the space shuttle, costs 10 grand. They both tell time. What do you want out of it, right? So there really isn't a study that shows there's a correlation between price and quality. Is the one that launches the shuttle quality? Who knows? Price contributes to expectations, though. So that $10,000 watch, you would expect that it rocks. It's never going to be late. It's not going to lose a second, right? So think about that. Consumers process absolute and relative numbers differently. Absolute, $15 off of a $199 item and $15 off of a $49 item is the same in absolute terms. They're $15 off. Relative is 15 of $199 is 8%, while 15 of $49 is 31%. I like 31% discounts, right? I'd rather deal with the percentage discount. Contextual frame, $499 trip equals a $599 trip minus a $100 discount. See how marketers get you? They come in, they say, well, this is $599 But today we're taking off $100. And you're like, oh, I'm saving $100. It's all in there. It's that neuromarketing, right? So, however, the $599 trip seems like a better deal because of the higher starting price. And there's a $100 discount versus a standard $499 trip with no discount. So the no discount at $499 needs to up their price, their initial price to $599, discounted $110, right? So now it's more, absolute price. Price discounts are mood inductions. Temporary price discounts make customers think they are smart shoppers. I am so smart, I saved $110 on that $499 trip. Maybe. Prices ending in 99, prices like $4.99 or $49.99 tend to be more attractive than $5 or $50. We just talked about that, right? People read right to left, thus the 4 is processed first and leaves an impression. $4.99, 5. Whew, $4.99 is way less. So, mental accounting. People categorize and budget purchases. People pay less attention to future. Ergo, vacation money is different than food money, right? Compromise effect. The intermodal choice between two extremes is attractive. People assume that if a company charges more, it must be providing more. Maybe, right? Look at a 2003 Toyota Camry. And then pull up a 2003 Lexus ES330. Same car, right? The models look identical. There's a slight shift in the grille and the bumpers. And I think there's some trim differences on the door. Otherwise, same car, exact same car, right? So one of those cars costs twice the price of the other car. Is the company providing more? And when people go, yes, it's a Lexus, they're more reliable than Toyota. You know who owns Lexus? Toyota, right? GM versus Chevy. GMC versus Chevy, right? It's the same. Right? So people assume that if a company charges more, it must be providing more. Neuromarketing. Psychology might be your minor with your marketing degree, right? Or your MBA. Systematic biases in pricing. Referent pricing. People compare price to some referent, either in an externally available price or an internally stored price. So external MSRP is $49.99, now available for $35.99. Our price, $34.99 compared at $45, right? So that's your externals. Your internal, relevant memory, inferences about the store, etc. So what you remember. You may not be remembering it correctly, right? So you might want to go do some more research on that one. Discussion questions number 3. Discuss the pricing biases at work in the following examples. A house builder has 3 price points on kitchen cabinets. Price tag that reads, was $299, now only $199. Who do we know that does that? Oh, TJ Maxx. They always say compare. You know, this is our price compared to, it's $19.99 compared to $79.99. Really? A toy package that reads, this toy is not only fun, but also educational. It's a weird value add, right? So a house builder has 3 price points on kitchen cabinets. So you just assume that the highest price is the awesome cabinet. Maybe it's just a different quality of wood. Doesn't mean it has longevity past the cheaper models, right? That price tag that reads was $299, now only $199. Does that motivate you? Does it move you in one direction or the other? My thought is, one was $300, one's now $200. I have $100. I'm out, right? And then that toy package that reads, this toy is not only fun, but also educational. So now you as the parent might think, man, I'm not such a schmo giving my son or my daughter a frivolous toy. It's educational. So it's got more value. Maybe. Price discrimination. Price discrimination is illegal. Illegal to charge different prices to different people for the same goods or services. It's just discrimination. Segment pricing is legal. Different segments value different things. If you want to look at segment pricing, take a look at Central Market and then go down to, H-E-B is a great example, not to ding on them in any way, shape, or form, but take a look at one of their brands. Pick a brand. Take peanut butter. Check the price at Central Market. Check the price at a Really small town, old HEB. And then look at the newest HEB built in your neighborhood. Are the prices the same? That's segment pricing, right? This segment of the population can afford to pay 10 cents more for this peanut butter. They do it all the time. Something to be aware of, right? In New Braunfels, we have 3 HEBs. One is brand spanking new. It's so cool. One is the original. It's what everybody refers to as less than new. And then there's the one that was the new one, but now is suddenly not the new one, the old new one. That's what they call it. They have different pricing strategies, different segments. It's in the same town, and it's not a huge town yet. Customers might be annoyed to learn that others paid a lower price. So we kind of scope them all out because they're all within 5 miles of my house. So we know which one to go to, and we just plan our trip accordingly, right? Makes a nice big circle. So pricing questions. What is the ideal price for the deal-prone customer? What is the ideal price for the brand-loyal customer? And how could you appeal to both, right? If it's brand-loyal, are they in a different segment? Are they in a different section of the town, right? Lots of knowing where everything's coming from. So think about it. The next time you go to a store and they go, hey, what's your zip code? That's data analysis. They're trying to figure out how they can appeal to you and how they can use that data to figure out, okay, these folks tend to almost always pay $5 more. It's not illegal. Seems unfair. Quantity discounts yield management. Quantity discounts, basically the more purchased, the more saved. Costco, Sam's, there's a company called BJ's. There's another one out there, I can't remember the name of them. Yield management, using price and scheduling to manage demand. So they can ramp up awesome demand. They can order a whole bunch at this one store, and then they sell a ton of them at a lower price, but the volume offsets that lower price, right? I found an awesome Orvis jacket at the Costco in Austin, South Austin, so swanky part of town, I guess. I paid, I think, $25 for the jacket. Love it. It's an awesome jacket. I looked up Orvis, never heard of them before, Orvis, and found out that that was a $119 jacket. How did Costco sell it for like 25 bucks or 30 bucks? Because they ordered a bazillion of them, right? So yield management. And then another good example of yield management is movies during the day for less money. Matinees, right? Need to manage perceptions of fairness in your yield management. So we say, oh, it's the day. Nobody's coming in for that one. Alamo Draft House does a buy one, get one recently on their app. So, you know, it could be that they're not moving that one as fast as they'd like, so they're trying to get people in. Because, you know, once they get in, they'll buy all the ancillaries. We're back to that Pepsi question, right? How much would you pay for a Pepsi at a movie? So pricing with quantity discounts, you know, 2-part tariffs. So charge a fixed and variable usage fee, price 2 parts separately. So you've got cell phones, the price paid versus the data plan usage. Then you've got theme parks, the price paid versus, you know, how much will you also sell in food, t-shirts, you know, while consuming there at the park. So concept in action, discussion question, 35 respondents would go once monthly to a wine bar with a $5 cover, 20 would go twice at $5, 10 would go once monthly at $15. Assumes $2 variable cost. What is the most profitable price? So 35 respondents would go once a month at $5. So we're looking at 165 bucks. 20 would go twice at $5. So that one is basically $10, 20, $200. 10 would go once monthly at 15, 150 bucks. So that 20 would go twice at $5. That's your most profitable, right? So introduction stage, penetration, pricing, seek market share, price low to stimulate sales, encourage trial, and trigger word of mouth. Skimming pricing, which is seeking profit, price high initially, then lower to make product more accessible. So once you get a little bit further into the market, you lower the price and then kind of open the floodgates. Adjust price in various stages, usually end with lower prices in decline stage, right? Makes sense. Not as many people want it, Let's clear out the remaining inventory, lower the price, capture $1 or $2 per unit, and we're still happy, right? Price fluctuations. Temporary cuts may be negative. Competitors can imitate, thus impact may be negated while also squeezing margins. Price drops attract disloyal customers. So you're going to get the new folks. Customers may stock up, may negatively affect brand image. Oh my gosh, they clearanced it out. They must not be worth more. Or they just have a bunch of stock and it's still a quality product. Coupons. Coupons are relevant only to coupon clippers. I tried it. I can never remember to take the coupons with me, so now I just leave them all over my truck, and my truck's a mess. Redemption rate is only about 1%, right? So every time somebody calls me and says, hey, you know, HEB's got this coupon, we could advertise your wellness shop on there, 1%. That means for every 100 receipts that are sent out with my coupon on the back, I get one person to show up. Maybe, right? Effective at encouraging new customers to try new products and brand extensions. I will admit that when I do get a coupon for something, I went from a ketogenic Rebel ice cream to the ketogenic Enlightened ice cream. Why? They offered me $3 off a $5 ice cream. I like that ice cream deal, right? And come to find out, the Enlightened brand has less sugar still than the original Rebel ketogenic brand. So coupons worked in that instance. Game theory is used to estimate likely results of price cuts and competitive response. Marketers need to think about the broader market and competitive responses, not just their own decisions. Mutual cooperation can yield even better outcomes than both parties acting selfishly. Novel idea. More cool stuff happens when we're not selfish. Can you explain the chart in terms of competitive response? And what do you think the ultimate outcome would be in this scenario and why? It's another one of those charts. We need to look at one of the slides here. So we'll move on for that discussion question. Auctions. Price is negotiated by buyer and seller. I love auctions. I'm an eBay-aholic. Bidders compete to buy items, sealed or open bid. I like the open bid because I can see who's bidding. I swoop in at the last minute to get a good price on the bid. Reservation price, estimate of customers' willingness to pay, well, or your willingness to sell. My reservation price is $15. I won't accept anything less. So if the bidding stalls out at $14.50, it doesn't sell, it gets relisted. If the price is higher than the reservation, you know, don't buy. If it is lower, then you can buy, right? English auctions, bids start low and increase. Dutch auctions, bids start high and decrease. So value. An assessment of what the customer gets compared with what the customer gives up. Is there value? It usually is not a good idea to compete on price when we're talking value. Find benefits your customers want and charge for them. It makes sense. Managerial recap. Pricing strategies are basically low, medium, or high. Company and its costs can dictate the lower bound price. Customer's willingness to pay marks the upper bound. In the middle, price is tweaked up or down relative to the competitor's pricing. So pricing can be used to shape a brand's positioning, attract or repel different targets. There are economic and psychological elements to pricing. We've discussed them so far. Lots goes into it. $4.99 versus $5. You know, what goes into the pricing of the peanut butter at your local HEB or your local grocery store, right? Psychological elements really drive pricing at the end of the day. If you're not up on that, then from a marketing perspective, you might be behind. So that's our managerial recap. See you next time.